Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We're Screwed. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr. With me, as always, my co-host, Old Boy James Ash, and Andy Andrews. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. How you doing, brother? How's everyone?
Good.
Tonight, we're going to be talking about this fucking mess in Ukraine. Trump put forth his final peace plan here, and either they accept it or the U.S. is going to pretty much walk away from that mess. And I'm going to go over basically what the plan is about. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and then I want to talk a little bit about that Zelinsky dickhead too. Okay, so it's a 7-point peace plan. I'm just going to go through the points here. Number one, Ukraine must abandon its claim to Crimea. This is a crazy one because that happened under Obama, that Russia took Crimea. So it's been in Russian control all this time. And this is part of this peace plan, and this is already something that might make it not happen. Because Zelensky said that there's nothing to talk about, that Crimea is Ukrainian land and they're not walking away from it. So that might already blow this thing to shit. Number two is a cessation of all hostilities on the front lines. It's like about 1,000-mile front line, too. So they're going to have to stop fighting. Number three is that we will lift all sanctions, the United States, on Russia. Number four is the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant will be transferred to the United States, and the United States will begin energy cooperation with Russia. Okay. Now this one's important because Russia took the nuclear power plant, but they didn't take the city of I can't pronounce this word of shit. They're all Ukrainian names. Zaporizhzhia or whatever, right? That city, Ukraine still controls. Russia didn't take the city, but they took the power plant to the city. The power plant is like southwest of the city a little bit. So they took that, but the city they weren't able to take yet. So if the peace plan is going to work, Russia would have to give that up because they can't have control over the power source for the city that Ukraine controls. So that's a big arguing point there between the two. So the idea is that we'll take it over and we'll run it. That way there's no problems. Number five is direct negotiations between the Ukraine and Russia without security guarantees. Now, this one's kind of because there is going to be security guarantees for Ukraine. It's going to be by the EU and other non-EU countries. But the United States was not mentioned whatsoever in the security guarantees of the plan. So that means we're not going to be securing the area, that it'll be the EU that does it. Now, Russia says there's no way they're going to allow NATO troops into Ukraine. So there's another problem with the plan. Number six, Ukraine cannot join NATO. That is a huge deal for the Russians. That is their red line. They will not allow that. That's why they invaded in the first damn place, because everybody kept saying that they were going to put Ukraine into NATO. But Ukraine can join the EU if they want to. So that will give them some sort of security guarantees of some sort because they'll be part of the European Union. Number seven is a conclusion of the mineral agreement. Now, a lot of people think that the mineral agreement is a self-serving thing for America, and in a way it is because we want those rare earth minerals, right? And we're not taking them, but there has to be some sort of agreement reached so that we can mine those things. And considering that we're like around $350 billion into this thing, I think that we need to get some minerals for that because the EU is getting paid back. All of their money they gave was in loans that have to be paid back with interest. And the United States just gave money with no conditions. So we're just out that money. So I think getting the mineral rights would be a very good deal for us. And it'd be a good deal for Ukraine too. Because one, they're doing the right thing and they're paying us back for the money that we gave them. But also, if you give the United States the mineral rights to come in there and mine those things, then our people are going to be in Ukraine doing that work. And that's going to be a huge, huge security guarantee if you think about it. Because Russia's going to think twice before they attack with our people in there. Because that's going to cause problems with us. And they don't want that smoke. You know? So if Ukraine was smart, they would have already done the mineral deal when Zelensky came to the White House. Instead of acting like a moron and spouting off the fucking mouth and getting kicked out. He should have been happy to sign that deal because that would have put U.S. personnel on the ground in Ukraine to mine those minerals. And that definitely would have been a major, major deterrent for Russia. Okay? Now, a lot of people are bitching about this. A lot of people are saying that this agreement essentially gives Russia everything it wants. But it really doesn't, because the bottom line is the way this breaks down is pretty much where the territories align now, like the land that Russia has taken, it keeps. It's going to have to back up a little bit because Ukraine's going to maintain control of that main river that goes through, according to the deal. And in most spots, they push Russia back across that river, but there are a few spots where Russia's right up on it. So Russia will have to back up a little bit from the river so that they have free access, Ukraine does, to use that river going up and down. But for the most part, Russia is going to keep the land that it gained. It's going to have Crimea, which it already had before the war. So I don't see any reason that Zelensky says that that's not something that he'd agree to, because he didn't have it in the first fucking place. Russia already had that. And they're going to keep the land that they gained through the war. Okay, now a lot of people think that's a bad deal. But in my viewpoint, you got two options here if you're Ukraine. You can sign the deal now, and you can stop the amount of land that you're losing and where it is now. You can stop the bleeding, and you can still keep most of your country. Because it's like 5/6 of the country still belongs to Ukraine. Russia's only got a little bit. Okay? So you can either sign it now and keep most of your country, or you can be a jackass and not sign it. We're going to walk away from the deal, right? We're going to say, all right, fuck you, you're on your own. And you're going to lose that war. Probably 2 or 3 years is all you're going to last, and you're going to lose. You're going to lose a hell of a lot of people. Your country's going to be destroyed, and in the end of the day, you're going to lose your country. There's not going to be any Ukraine left. It's all going to be Russia. Because there's no way Ukraine is winning. Russia's army isn't all that great, but it's a much better army than Ukraine's. That's a lot bigger. And there's just no chance in hell that Ukraine wins this. The only chance they would have is if NATO got involved, the United States got involved, and we started fighting the war. But that's not going to happen. We're not going to fight it for them. So on their own, which is where they'll be, is on their own, there's no chance in hell that they beat Russia. They are going to lose their entire country, is what's going to happen. Now, Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, I do that in quotes because he has gotten rid of all elections. So essentially, he's now a dictator because he doesn't allow free elections anymore. His term was over a long time ago, but he's stayed in power and canceled the elections because of the war. So now he is, for all purposes, he's an unelected dictator at this point. His stupidity and him running off his fucking mouth is going to cause Ukraine to lose their entire country. That's what's going to happen. Because I can already see in the news, he's already saying that he's not going to do the deal because he doesn't want to give up Crimea. He thinks Crimea is Ukrainian land and it should be on the table for Ukraine to have, which makes no sense because, like I said before, it was already Russian territory before the war started. Russia's controlled it since the time of Obama when they took it. So there's no reason for Ukraine to think that they're going to get it back. Plus, Russia has a couple of submarine bases in Crimea. So they're not going to be giving that up. There's just no chance in hell that's going to happen. And if you're if you're Ukraine, or if you're just any rational person that has a logical mind that's capable of thought, then you realize that Ukraine kind of doesn't have a leg to stand on here. Like, you can't win this war. You're going to lose. So you're not going to get a great deal. That's just the bottom line. There's no incentive for Russia to give up anything it doesn't want to give up, because it can whoop your ass in a fight. If it can win the war, why not just let Russia win the war and then take whatever the hell they want? They'll get the whole country. That's what's going to happen if Ukraine doesn't do the deal. A lot of people are criticizing the United States taking over that power plant, that nuclear power plant. I'm not loving that idea. I don't want to be involved in it. But it's a guarantee that if they do, you're not going to have issues there anymore. Okay, and if Russia keeps control of that power plant, they can just turn the power off to that city whenever they want. And that's unsustainable. You can't have a peace like that. Ukraine wants security guarantees from the United States, but we're not going to give them that, because what that essentially means is that if Russia decides it wants to invade Ukraine, then we got to fight Russia. Okay, now I'm not afraid of Russia. We can whoop Russia's ass, but the thing is, it's not our fight. Right? That's Ukraine's fight. That's not our fight. Everybody talks all this shit about that we should be taking up for Ukraine and we should be fighting against Russia because Ukraine is a democracy or whatever. It's really not. He's not elected anymore. He's canceled the elections. He's a dictator now. They've got literal Nazi squads in their military. Ukraine's a crooked, dirty-ass place. It's not a good place. Those aren't the good guys. Now, I'm not saying Russia's the good guys either, because Putin's kind of a dick. This is one of those situations where both sides suck. They're both bad guys. And the bottom line is, it's really none of our freaking business. I mean, Putin said, plain as day, over and over and over and over again, here's my red line. You cannot put Ukraine into NATO. I cannot have a NATO member on my border like that. That was their red line. We all knew it. We've known it for decades that that's been their red line. And you have these dipshit Democrats that have been saying for years that they're putting Ukraine into NATO. They're putting Ukraine into NATO. Biden said it. Harris said it. So what do you expect he's going to do? Do you know that Russia tried to join NATO? Russia wanted to be a part of NATO. And we told Russia to go fuck itself, basically. Now, how stupid was that? What better way to make sure you're never going to have to go to war with Russia than have them in NATO with you? Then they're your ally. Why wouldn't we allow that? They weren't the Soviet Union anymore. They wanted to be part of the world economy. They wanted to be part of the world community. They wanted to be a part of NATO. And we basically said, screw you. So what do you expect is going to happen? You can't deny him the right to defend his own country. You can't put all these sanctions on him. You can't try to actively destroy their country. You cannot threaten over and over and over again to put their enemy, which, make no mistake, Ukraine and Russia are enemies, and they've been enemies. You cannot put their enemies in NATO. He told you over and over and over again, this is not going to be allowed. Now, do I buy that is the entire reason he invaded? Probably not. He probably wants Ukraine, because it used to be part of the Soviet Union. But what you dumb fuck Democrats did is give him an excuse to go in. You gave him the perfect excuse by continually saying you're going to put Ukraine in NATO. That was dumb. But I don't know what we expect from the Democrats. That's what they do. Dumb shit. They're the Democrats. That's all they do. So my ruling on this, what I say is, if Ukraine knows what's good for it, it'll agree to the deal. It'll stop the war, stop the killing, and it'll keep most of its country. If it doesn't, you mark my words, write it down right now, because it will come to pass. Russia will win that war, and there will not be a Ukraine anymore. It will all be Russia. That's where we're headed if they don't agree to it. And I don't know if they're going to agree to it. Because, like I said, Zelensky's already out there running his mouth and acting stupid and saying he don't want no part of it. I mean, you can't. Here's the dangerous part about saying that Crimea should go to Ukraine, right? For him to say that, because as I mentioned, that was already Russian territory going in. Okay, that's a critical area for Russia. It's got submarine bases there. It's a port to the sea down there where they can move things in and out. It's very crucial that Russia has Crimea. That's why they took it in the first place, right? That is so provocative. That is basically sticking your middle finger in Putin's face. And you got to understand, he don't have to make this deal. Putin doesn't have to do this. He's winning, and he will win this war. So you can't put your middle finger in his face like that and expect that he's going to sign the deal. It's foolish and it's dangerous and it's stupid what Zelensky is doing. So if he doesn't take the deal, which I doubt he will, okay, I might be wrong. Trump has surprised me. Trump is a freaking genius when it comes to this kind of thing. He has done so many things that I didn't think he could do and just pulled them off, and it's been amazing, right? So he may pull it off. But if Zelensky screws this up, which it looks like he's screwing it up now, then he will lose his country. And it will be his fault. And I think it's smart of the United States to walk away at that point and say, you know what, fuck you. We don't need it. We don't need this problem. We got enough issues of our own. We're not even going to be walking away from the mineral rights deal if we walk away, because Putin has already said when we wanted to do the mineral rights deal with Zelensky, hey, why don't you just do a deal with me? I got all kinds of that shit in my country. You're welcome to come here and mine it. Putin wants to make a deal with us for mineral rights. You know? So if Zelensky wants to be a moron, fuck him. Let Putin wipe his ass out, and Ukraine will become Russia again, and then we'll just do a deal with Putin and we'll get the damn things anyway. You know, either way you look at it, we're going to get our money back. And I'm not of the belief that we have to be protecting that dumbass. He came here and he was disrespectful as fuck to our president and our vice president. He was disrespectful as fuck to the American people. So as far as I'm concerned, fuck Zelensky. He's on his own. I don't give a shit about him or his stupid country. That place is a fucking cesspool. It always has been. You know, I don't give a shit. We're trying to help. If you don't want our help, if you want to screw it up, then we'll walk away and you can deal with it on your own. And you're going to lose. That's what's going to happen. So that's what I think about it. I will throw it over to either Old Boy or Andy, whoever wants to take it. And you guys say what you want.
I'll go this time. I'll go. Just so everybody knows, we just should send James Hershey over there and he'll take care of it. We'll just give him a fucking gun and bazooka, helicopter, some kind of fucking Land Rover, whatever, and he'll take care of it. Just have him go in there and let him deal with it. You don't need to have anybody fight a war. Just have James go in there and take care of him. He whoop somebody's ass. I can see James, like, remember those action movies, him getting all crazy, jumping in there and out of the helicopter. You wouldn't even have to stop him. He'd get in there and kicking ass. I could see it. He gets really emotional in those. But that's because that's how he feels. He's not sugarcoating it like most people do. He's keeping it real. That's one thing I could say. I don't agree with a lot of what he just said, but he keeps it real. Listen, I do agree with him. Putin's not going to. This is probably going to. I think maybe they could get another deal with maybe a little bit more land, but if he doesn't take this deal, they're fucked. We're not getting in this war. It's not going to say. We're not going to stop anything. We're going to get involved, and like you said, we'll get what we get out of it anyway. It doesn't matter. This, at least Ukraine stays in the, they got some protection with the European Union. Now, the whole NATO thing, I mean, he's right. Russia doesn't want him in there. But a lot of people don't give a fuck what Russia thinks either. So Russia, the point, what I'm worried about is we're not going to get into it. We're going to get forced to it because one of our allies are going to get involved, like France or somebody, and that's been threatened. Because France is threatening to get involved, and that's why Putin's made comments about France. Because France is saying they are going to will get involved if this doesn't work, and like I said, we'll end up getting involved because they're one of our biggest allies. And he's right. We don't need to get involved in this shit. This isn't our fucking problem. It's a bad situation. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Russians are any better. The mafia Russian, same thing, brother. I mean, it's they're pretty fucked up places to live in certain places. Not every part in the Ukraine, but it's just, it was a hard place to live, man. So is Russia. Russia's a hard fucking place to live. Those people are fucking stronger people. That you ever see some of the fighters that come out of there? They're fucking stone cold killers. They kill you, and then they go on to their day like nothing. And that's somebody you got to be careful with. A person who doesn't talk is somebody you need to worry about. The one that talks a lot, and this ain't always true because I've seen people who can fight when they can talk shit. But there's some you can tell they just keep going on that they're scared. And a person who isn't, that doesn't mean they can fight. But the person who doesn't brag is the one you have to worry about because they're probably going to be the one that fucks you up. And that's what usually happens. But we're getting off on the subject. I think he should take this deal, Zelinsky, because it's not that I agree with it, but James is pretty much right. If you don't, it's not going to stop, and he's going to end up taking more of your property. Maybe all of Russia takes over Ukraine, and we're not going to get involved in it unless something happens. If somebody gets involved, then we probably will end up. I have a bad feeling we're going to end up getting pulled into this shit. Because Zelinsky has a lot of backing from other countries like Germany. Somebody's going to get involved and get us pulled in, and that's what I'm worried about. Because I don't want the United States in any kind of war unless we have to. And I get it. Russia's no heroes either. We all know what happened with Putin in his presidential election. So, I mean, we forgot to talk about that. But, I mean, it's pretty much a done deal. People need to quit watching the news. Russia is not losing the war. If you look at European news and stuff like that, they tell more of the story. You got to remember, there's a lot of Fox tells you that Russia's winning, and I'm to a point. CNN to a point, they'll say half and half, but you have some are just so outlandish. They act like Ukraine's winning, and they're not. They've already lost some of their parts of their country. So I mean, what do you want to happen? James is pretty much right. They're going to take over that fucking country then, and you're going to be in a lot of problems. Now, I mean, there's nothing that we can do about it, but if I was Zelinsky, I'd probably start trying to figure out something because you're not going to win. Not that I'm happy about it, but you're not going to win. He's right. He's very much right. America's not going to get involved. We're walking away from it. You have no real way to win. It sucks. And he's right, though. At least you get something. At least you get something out of it. And it's not saying you're giving up. And I think that's what's a lot about of it. It's kind of like giving in. Yeah, Russia giving all this stuff, but in reality, Russia won. You signed a treaty, you lost. That's what I think it's really about. It's more of an ego thing with him. And I get it. There's been a lot of death with this war for the last, 4 or 5 years. And it's not going to get any better. It's like he said, it's going to be Russia soon. So I kind of agree with him on this one. And I'm not saying I agree with everything he's saying, but I agree with the deal part of it, that you have to do something or you lose everything. sometimes you have to bend the knee to save yourself. And you got to realize it's not just you're not just a country. You have to think of your people. And if the United States doesn't help you, and I don't think Trump's going to he might say stuff because he gets mad. You know how Trump is. He says stuff and calms down after a day or two, and he'll change his mind. And like James says, you never know. Trump could change his mind and give him another chance. And he could also talk Putin into give him more benefits, maybe some more land or more something. But if he doesn't do it, we're gonna walk away, and and we're gonna look bad. One way or another, we look bad, and it doesn't matter what we do. The United States will always look bad. If we got into it, we'll look bad. We didn't get into it, we look bad. A lot of people want to see the United States go away, and people need to realize that. And it's not what you think. It isn't like this is the place to go because everybody loves it. There's people who come here who still do hate this place. They are here to try to change to where they want. I don't understand. This is one thing I didn't understand with people is why would you want to not have freedoms or limit freedom? And that's with any belief in any side you vote for. Independent, Democrat, Republican. Where do you have somebody telling you can't do certain things? Now, there's always opinions. That's one thing. But that's the problem we have, is we have too many people that have these issues of telling people what to do. So it is what it is. James pretty much, I'm not a big politic person, so I just had to kind of agree with him on some of what he said. Now, like, it's just a bad situation. We were giving him all kinds of money. $350 billion is a lot of money, and now it's hurting us. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have done it. I'm just saying that sometimes you got to take what you're given, and if you don't, you're going to be in worse problems than you have now. You might as well take the steak home instead of losing the whole turkey. That's all I can say. I don't know. That's too much. I sum it up. I'm tired, but I'm going to throw it over to Andy. There you go, brother.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree with James. I agree with both you guys. It's like, Zelinsky come over here, man. And I mean, to begin with, look at the way the guy was dressed when he showed up. I mean, he's coming into our, one thing people need to realize that the White House is owned by us, the people. Just like the Capitol building, just like any of the Supreme Court, any of those places are owned by us, the people. Okay, so he came in, it would just be like somebody coming into your house and dressed inappropriately, for what the situation was. And that's what kind of burned me, was him coming in. He reminded me of a dude, like he reminded me of one of the like lower people on the Sopranos, man, like the ones that, come in with the chain and the jumpsuit and shit like that, and they're matching and, and it was just like this dude came in, man, and completely tried to throw his weight around. That's exactly what he was doing, was trying to intimidate, was trying to show that, we as a country, or the leader of our country, no matter what, was weak. And then he talked to us the same way, or talk to our leader the same way, no matter if you like him or you don't like him. If you like Vance, you don't like Vance. It doesn't matter, man. You're coming into, I would have felt the same way if he would have came in and acted that way to Biden. You know what I mean? It's like, you just don't come in and pretty much run your mouth about, especially after, man, giving the money that we did. You know what I mean? The help that we had already given them, regardless if it was Trump or not. This is the taxpayers, this is the people of this country and stuff like that. Regardless if we liked it or not at that time and point, they gave them money. If it wasn't for the place that he walked into, if it wasn't for that, you know, for what decisions were made coming out of that house, then he would have probably already sunk. His ship had already been done. And it's inevitable. That's what's going to happen, man, you know. And people, they want to cry and bitch and complain, you know, about dictatorship and stuff, but yet they are running around with Ukraine flags and screaming and stuff. And I'm talking about people here in this country. And what gets me is they're one day they're raising the Ukraine flag and saying, you know, we support Ukraine. And then the next day they're up here on the, you know, like up in this area, up in the square in Gettysburg with signs up calling him a dictator, Trump a dictator. And it's like, okay, hold on, man. You're supporting a dictator one day and then you're bitching about a dictator the next day. So why is it? So to me, this is how I look at it. And I just said this to somebody the other day. So hold on. You're bitching about a dictator and that the United States doesn't supposed to have, you know, or that he's trying to be a dictator. But yet I'm hearing you going off and crying about Ukraine, that literally the guy that's running that country is a dictator. You know, he got rid of elections, man, free elections. You cannot do anything. Then they want to yell Nazis and stuff like that. Literally, the guy in Ukraine's got regiments that are walking around with Nazis and stuff. So why are you, they're hypocrites, man. They do this shit all the time. Every single day, the Democrats always, man, are hypocritical. And I've gotten to a point, man, that I'm like, you know, I just don't listen to them anymore. I mean, I have to deal with it on Saturday mornings at the square right out in front of my store and stuff for an hour. And it literally is an hour of us. Sometimes we sit right in the big front windows that I have and laugh our ass off about these people, man, that are screaming about women's rights and stuff like that. And then yet they're walking around with a vagina, picture of a vagina, a real picture, not a drawn one, a big picture on a poster board of a vagina saying you can't touch this and stuff like that. But yet you want me to respect you, but you're going to show me pictures of your, you know, vagina. That's, you know, I don't know how that's too much respect on anything. Or then they talk about, you know, some people were yelling about Ukraine the other day. And I'm standing there and I'm just thinking, man, this guy doesn't take this deal. You know, you people are not going to have a Ukraine to be wanting to support. They're not going to have any kind of Ukrainian support if he doesn't go with this deal. I mean, you know, they really don't, they didn't have any problem taking our money from us or our weapons from us. And then now, you know, we go back and we ask if we can go ahead and the deal that was made, can we go ahead and get our mine our minerals now? And James is right. Putin's not going to be too quick, if at all, to try to do any kind of, you know, takeover or any kind of war with Americans there. He's just not going to. And some people don't think about it either. You know, if you took any kind of social classes when it comes to dealing with people and stuff like that, just like, you know, I'm in management, so I had to take some classes like that. When you're dealing with an unhinged person, you have to sell that person that you are on their side or that you understand them. You've got to, and it's just like when cops are out here talking down a jumper, you know, something like that. So Trump's not that dumb, man. He knows that Putin is an unhinged individual. And, you know, he's not laying in bed with him, as the Democrats say, and stuff like that. No, what he's doing is siding with him on some things that we do need to side with him on. But then there's some other things in there that you just kind of make the guy think that, yeah, man, you know, we're with you to a point. because we're not losing anything if they don't. We're not losing anything with him. It's like, I don't understand people. You know, if we were like totally against him, like when Biden was like kissing Ukraine's ass, you know, Putin, how much did we hear about Putin turning around the guns on us and shit? You know, and that's the thing. We kept hearing that scare of the possibility of him doing that. And that was because we were 110% shitting on Russia. We were like just showing them that we had no. When you respect somebody, it doesn't mean that you have to like them. You know what I'm saying? You can respect a country or you can respect a person, but you do not need to like them at all. You can respect them by just staying the hell out of it. And we need to stay out of it. So I agree with 100% that if Zelinsky is too dumb to take this, that we just walk away, we back up, let Russia do what they need to do. I'm sorry to say that. I know people will die and stuff like that, but that's not on our watch. That's not on us. You know, he has a way out. Zelinsky has a way out. He has a way to, you know, make it to where the only thing he's really losing, you know, is part of the country that was already not part of the country before even this war started and stuff. And it's like, you know, why should it be that, you know, he's trying to cut off? They have the river and stuff to do their trading and do their water, anything, you know, coming in and out their port. And that's all Russia is trying to do, you know, with keeping what they have. And it's like, Zelinsky to me seems just as unhinged, if not more, than actual Putin. Like, he is just trying to be a bully. It's like one of those deals to where a guy gets, like, you know, the head coach of the team, and then when they want to, you know, fire him or take him away, he wants to fight, you know, to stay ahead of to stay that coach or to stay that. That's what Zelensky's acting the same way. Like, he knows they had an election right now. I think the Ukraine, listening to some of the people in Ukraine talk about him and stuff like that, they do not like him very much, you know, but that blood is not on our hands. That's the thing, man. And the Democrats, they want to do anything that's anti-American and anything that, you know, they act like that we're saving, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I know that you got to think, man, Trump or anybody that would be in his position has to make a decision that saves the lives of other people. And that's exactly what he's doing. And the thing is, Zelensky is showing his side of things, that he just don't give a shit about the people. He may try to sit there and say that he does. No, he wants to be the author of, you know, the deal. He wants it all to be his way. He doesn't look at it, in my opinion, he doesn't look at things from a smart, logical point of view, like, okay, yeah, I'm giving up a little bit, but at least I'm saving, you know, one part of my country from getting their power cut off at any given time. Because does he really think that if he doesn't take this deal, what would it be for Putin to just say, pull the plug? You know, pull the electric. And you're talking about a lot of things lost because of that. I mean, you're talking about spoiled goods. You're talking about, you know, I don't know what the weather's like over there now. I mean, it's, you know, but at some point in time, you're going to have some of the coldest ass weather that they have. And people are going to be put out. Literally, that would be Zelensky's fault because he was too dumb to take it. And NATO, man, you know, we were shitty to Russia, man, for not letting them be part of NATO. You know, that was just, shouldn't have been our call altogether. I mean, you got Trump, who had us, you know, Obama, he had, I don't even know what to think about him. There was times that I thought, well, he's doing pretty good with them. And then there was times I was like, just shaking my head. But Biden just pretty much sold out, man. Trump, he had things, you know, pretty together when he got out. When COVID hit and stuff like that, that kind of just was a shit show. We all see what's happening out of that now. But, yeah, you know, we, you know, actually had, everything seemed to be, people want world peace. Do I think it could ever happen? To a point, yes, but you're still going to have radicals out there, and I would consider Zelinsky one of them. You know, you got Putin. He just wants to feel like he's, you know, kind of a tough guy, and he's a little unhinged. So you kind of let him do that. You keep him happy, and maybe you don't have to worry about him pulling the frickin', you know, pushing the button. I mean, if you want to put it that way. But the thing is, he's not going to push it on us, man. He's going to push that stuff on Zelinsky, and Zelensky's going to end up with nothing when it's all over and done with. And that's the whole point right there, is that when you are in a position that you know you're going to lose, you know, you might as well, you know, if you can come out of it with safety for one city, for their electricity, being able to get back to normal, rebuild your country, you know, different things like that, and you're just losing out on a little part of property, and you're following through with a deal that you made somebody when it comes to minerals and stuff, I still don't see where that's not, you know, a good situation either way, even though your feelings might be hurt a little bit, your pride, your ego, because that's what it all comes down to, man. You know, he would rather go out blazing. That's what I've heard him talk, man, and you can tell that's what he's trying to do, is he's trying to, like, be that Rambo, I'm going to go out, you know, down with the ship and stuff, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight. And he wants us to fuel that fight. He wants us to fit the bill for it, I guess. And the man had weapons, and what ended up happening? Yeah, he sold some to other people, other countries, stuff like that. I mean, how shitty is that? It's all about the money with him. You know, he's over here fighting and making it sound like, you know, he's in the trenches himself and stuff. I heard that one time he grabbed a gun and he was going out on the front lines and all that bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? As his wife is going on these nice big vacations, you know, right after they get a fat payment from us. It's not our place, man, to fit the bill. It's not our place to stand against Russia or stand against them. But the thing is, he's the one that has caused that. The Democrats are the one that have caused that. And that's what it comes down to, man. They are the ones that caused a big part of this shit to happen. And we probably should feel lucky that we aren't having to bust Russia's ass right now. I would say that we should probably all be grateful that we're not in World War III with Russia for the shit that Biden pulled. And that's just how I feel, you know? It's like, if I had to pick between Russia or Ukraine to, I don't want to say side with, but to say, yeah, they're more of an ally than the other one, I would definitely pick Russia, man, because they're the ones that would they're going to hit with the hardest punch out of the two of them. Not saying that it would knock us out, but it definitely would do some damage. And especially when you got a, you know, nutcase like Putin, you know what I'm saying, taking over it. I mean, you know, I just don't understand, man, Zelensky's thought process at all. It's like, man, cut your loss, lick your wounds, and go back to just being Ukraine. You're not losing your whole country, but you want to be a tough guy, go for it. And then when you have nothing, then what are you going to do? They're going to kill him, man. That's what's going to happen. They're going to catch up with him, and they're going to put him in somewhere that he is going to either rot or they're going to kill him. You know, that's you can just tell by Putin some of the things that he says. It's almost like he smirks and he just would love to. And, you know, if he's acting the same way he did in our White House, if he's acting that way over there, man, he's lucky somebody didn't bust his ass over here in the White House. And I'm sure there was quite a few that probably wanted to. But, yeah, he was very disrespectful. And now he expects us to, like, give him everything he wants. And that sounds like a very narcissistic, unhinged type of person, in my opinion. So there you go.
The thing you got to understand about Zelensky is he's not a tough guy. He's an actor. I mean, before he was president, he was an actor. We've all seen the clips of him, his little fruity ass running around in a little leotard and all that bullshit, right? He's not a tough guy. He's a bullshit artist. That's what he does for a living. He's an actor. But Putin, on the other hand, is an actual tough guy. Putin was KGB. Putin is a stone cold killer. He's the real deal. You know what I mean? He's not some fake actor like Zelensky is. So what you've got is somebody in Putin who has experience. He's ex KGB intelligence. He's a guy that knows what the fuck he's doing. Going up against Zelinsky, who is just some dumbass actor who's running his mouth. And the reason why he acts the way he acts and with all that bravado that he has is because he's been bullshitted and lied to by the liberals. Period. I mean, when he came over here to meet with Trump and Vance to do that mineral deal, before he came to the White House, he met with the Democrats. And he said in the White House to Trump and Vance some of the same bullshit talking points that the Democrats have been saying on TV for days and days and days before. One that I'll bring up real easy, everybody can remember, the thing about the United States having an ocean that separates us from our enemies. That's something the Democrats were saying over and over and over again on every fucking news channel they went on for like weeks ahead of him getting here. And then what did he throw up in Trump's face? You know, you'll be sorry one day. You've got an ocean separating us from them, right? The exact same thing that the Democrats have been saying. So they've been bullshitting him for all this time, saying, yeah, we got your back. We stand with Ukraine. We're going to help you. We're all this shit. So he thinks he's got big, bad United States backing him up. What he doesn't realize is the Democrats are a bunch of liars. And they're a bunch of pussies. They're not fighters, man. They don't know how to fight. You know, they had no intention of ever fighting in Ukraine against Russia. What they wanted to do was keep pumping money in there, because if they don't pump money in there, then Zelensky just might tell all their little secrets. Remember, Biden was running stuff over in Ukraine for the United States while Obama was president. Y'all remember him getting the prosecutor fired that was going after his son? All that shit? You all remember that. If the prosecutor ain't fired, you don't get your $1 billion. You remember that bullshit? There's a lot of dirty shit that went on over there in Ukraine that the Democrats were doing over there. That is very, very dirty shit, very, very illegal shit. And I guarantee you, Zelensky told Biden, hey, look, bud, you can either give me the money I'm asking for, or maybe I just call up Fox News and tell them all about all the bullshit you were doing over here. I guarantee you some shit like that was probably happening. Because notice, they pulled heaven and earth to get that money. They attached money for Ukraine on every damn bill that had to get passed, everything. By hook or crook, they were going to get that money to them. They had no intention of going in there and fighting for him. They were just paying him off so he'd keep his fucking mouth shut. I guarantee you that's what it was. Trump comes in, he ain't got all that baggage. And he tells them, look, man, this shit's going to stop. You know, there's people dying. You can't win this fucking war. And we're not going to keep supplying you with cash. It just ain't going to happen. So we'll see what happens. I don't have a lot of hope for the deal happening. You know, Trump is the best in the world at making deals, so maybe it'll happen. If anybody can do it, he can do it. But I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of faith in it, you know, because Zelensky's a dipshit. And you still have the Democrats and you still have the idiots over in Europe saying that they'll stand with him. And you brought up earlier about some European countries saying they might even go fight for him. And everybody thinks that's going to drag us into it because we're part of NATO. Well, Trump's already talked about leaving NATO anyway. You know, I don't think we ought to be a part of NATO personally, because what the fuck good is that for us? It's great for the other people in NATO because they got the United States to back their ass if they do anything. How does it benefit us? We shell out all the cash, right? We pay the majority of the money. We do the majority of the fighting. If we get in a war, is it going to make that much of a difference if France or Germany helps us? No, because they're pussies. They can't do nothing. They're weak. Why do we give a fuck about their 500 troops they're going to send or whatever? You know, screw them. NATO's a rigged deal, man. It's no good for us. All it's going to do is drag us into shit. So, in my opinion, even if France or Germany does get into Ukraine and fight against Russia, that shouldn't mean that we get dragged into it. Because NATO says an attack on a NATO country is an attack on all of NATO. Not that if you go and start shit with somebody that we got to back your play. Russia's not attacking France. They're not attacking Germany. They're not attacking anybody else. If they choose to get involved in a fight, that's on them. Got nothing to do with us. It's your stupidity. You're the one that jumped in. We didn't tell you to jump in. So I wouldn't protect them. If they do jump in, fuck them. Let them do what they're going to do. Let them pay the fucking price for it. I ain't got no love for France. I ain't got no love for Germany. I ain't got no love for any of those European countries. All they do is shit on us 24 hours a day. They screw us over in trade. They run their fucking mouths about us. I don't care about them. It's not like they're going to be much of a country anymore anyway. They've already let so many damn Muslims in through all this fucking illegal immigration over there, bringing all these people in. You can't even walk down the streets. There's whole areas in Germany the cops won't even go anymore because they've been taken over by Muslims. It's insane. So if they want to jump into the fight, let them jump into the fight. But I say we still don't back them. We still don't help them. Fuck them. If they choose to get involved, it's on them, man. You know, that's the way I feel. And I don't think we ought to be in NATO anymore. I think we ought to get the fuck out of NATO and say, you know what? You guys do it without us. We're not involved anymore. We don't want to be a part of NATO because we're paying all the money. We're doing all the fighting. Even when the NATO members get involved in a war, like we saw in Afghanistan and Iraq, what do they actually do? They send 500 troops, 1,000 troops. They're not real troops. They're just like peacekeepers that hang out in tents. They don't do much. They don't really help. We're the ones that do everything, really. Put it this way, if they didn't show up and fight, would we lose? No. We'd still win easily. They're not really contributing anything to the effort. So we don't need them. You know, that's just how I feel about it. We don't need them. And I don't think we ought to be backing these people because they don't like us. The way I look at it, you're going to try to screw us over and you're going to run your mouth about us all the time, then you're on your own. You know, you either love and support America or you're on your own. We're not going to be the people that come around and fight every battle for you while you run your mouth about us. Screw you. You're going to either learn to appreciate America and respect America, or you can just handle it on your own, man. That's the way I feel. I'm tired of having to bail everybody out all the time. I'm tired of helping everybody in the fucking world, and all they do is run their mouth about us and shit on us constantly. Screw us over in trade. Screw us over here. Screw us over there. It's ridiculous. You know, the days of America being taken advantage of need to end. You know, we're the strongest nation on this planet. There's no reason we should allow anybody to bully us or to take advantage of us. And it happens all the time. And I'm sick and tired of seeing it. You know? So I say get out of NATO. I say stay the hell out of Ukraine. We're trying to help. If they don't want to help, then screw them. And for the people that say that Ukraine is winning or that they have some chance in hell of winning, I'll just say this. They are literally kidnapping young men, teenagers, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids off the street in Ukraine. The Ukrainian army is driving up, grabbing them, putting them in a vehicle, and driving away with them in order to force them into the army to fight. You don't do that if you're winning. If you're winning, you're not grabbing 13-year-old kids off the street and making them fight for you. That's a strategy by somebody who's losing, who doesn't have enough troops to fight anymore because they're all dead. So you got to go grab kids and put them in the army. Just think about that. If they were winning, they wouldn't be doing that shit. You know? As always, up to you guys to make up your own mind. We told you what we thought. Okay? So, with that being said, we love you. We appreciate you. And we'll catch you on the next one. Till we speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you. So do we. Bye-bye.